Hello, everybody. This is LaToya of Infinitenature, and I am back with a new video. So, I wanted to do another book review on a book that I recently finished reading, and it is called The 48 Laws of Power. Oh man, this book was an interesting book to read. It was also triggering, and it was also insightful, and it helped me to understand um, people and how we operate, human nature. And as a matter of fact, he has the author Robert Greene. He has a new book out called Human Nature, and in the back of this book, he has like a excerpt of it. And I was so intrigued by just reading the introduction. I believe it was just the introduction that he gave us. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy this book. And I also have another book of his that I'm going to start reading sometime between the end of the summer and the fall. I'm going to start reading it, called The Art of Seduction. So stay tuned for that, maybe by the end of the year, beginning of next year. But I haven't started that because I'm focusing on reading other books. As you can see, I'm a book lover. This is me and my husband's collection of books together. That's one of the things that brought us together is our love for books. He's more into like history and business and things of that nature. And I'm more into like self-help, um, inspirational. I'm into this type of stuff, human behavior, astrology, numerology, metaphysics. I think we both like to read things in regards to African history, African American history, things of that nature. African spirituality, I'm very into that too. I've been getting more into that over the last few years. But I don't want to get too distracted. But back to what I was saying, here's the 48 laws of power. I don't want to it's not going to be a huge, it's not going to be a major, deep, like me going all the way into the book like I did with my sacred contracts. I have lots of book on sacred contract. That's a very interactive book, and it's something that you really have to go through for some months and beyond. Um, but you can check that out. I do have you can check in the book review playlist for that in my on my channel. But the 48 Laws of Power, I always was interested in this book because I've seen the 48 Laws of Power, the laws, you can go Google them, but actually read the book in detail. And one thing that I love is how he starts the chapter off. Let's go. I'm just looking down so I can tell you how it's kind of laid out. Like he'll do it to where he has the law, and then the and then he has like a little, like an excerpt, like a little, not an excerpt, but like it's called a judgment. Like, for example, it says, conceal your intentions, keep people off balance and in the dark by never revealing the purpose behind your actions. And I'm not going to read the whole paragraph, but it kind of gives you like an introduction to the law. And then he goes into, some of the laws are broken up into two sections, depending on how, I guess, deep the author wanted to go into it. But he talks about the transgression of the law, how the law is not used in a good way. Like it backfires, how it's not used successfully. That's what the transgression of the law. So he has stories based upon different things that's happened in history. So some of the things that, if you're into history and things like that, you may find this book very interesting because it talks about it, different ways that people around the world have used these laws for their benefit, and how it backfired on them, or it wasn't executed in a good way. So And then he gives you an interpretation after he shares like the transgression. He gives you an interpretation, like an overview of the purpose of him sharing that particular story. And then you have the observance of the law. The observance of the law is pretty much sharing how it has been used in a good way, like in a way, executing it in a way that really is beneficial for that particular person, you know. And then, of course, he has the interpretation. And then he has the keys to power, which to me pretty much just goes back and goes into detail of the purpose of the law and just give you more insight on how to utilize it. So that's pretty much how it is. And some of the laws are broken down into two sections because I guess it's just the author wanted to really go into detail for that particular law. But there's also quotes throughout the book, which I found very interesting too. Some of it, I will say, is very lofty. If you're into literature and things like that, you might be more interested in that. I'm a reader, don't get me wrong, but even for me, I think it's good to read these type of books because it helps you with your vocabulary and it helps you kind of open your mind up a little bit. But I will say that sometimes some of these things went over my head, and I feel like I'm one of those people that like to read books over and over again. So I feel like the next time I decide, let me pick up this book and read this again. I feel like sometimes you may not catch certain things at that particular time that you're reading it, but you may catch it at another time. So also, he has like the reversal of the law too. That's towards the end of the book, and that normally talks about times where you utilize the law pretty much in the opposite way. And there's times where there's no reversals because it's just that the way that the author wanted the law to be expressed is just that there's not exceptions to the rules. To me, reversals are kind of like exceptions to the rules, times where you do the opposite of what the law was talking about in the book. And the reason why I'm not going into specifics because I don't want to give too much away. I want people to want to read the book, be like, oh yeah, I just want to share this, review just to, maybe somebody may be interested in reading it or whatnot. But I mentioned that it was triggering for me because I'm normally into spiritual books, into self-help, personal development books. So a lot of the laws go completely against what spiritual laws are about, honestly, because this kind of focuses on external power versus internal power. It focuses a lot on manipulation and things of that nature. So it was kind of triggering for me because I'm on a path of recognizing my invisible power, the power within me. And some of those things kind of brings up the struggle that I've had with power within my life. So it kind of brings that energy up, like, ooh, it's just very interesting. But my husband told me that because I was talking to him about it, because he reads some of Robert Greene's books also. He has, different books because Robert Greene has different. I find that his books are a lot about human nature, but he has different books based upon different aspects of it. Like I know he has a book on mastery and war and things of that nature. So it's just more so what is your interest in regards to the books that he's written. But my husband told me that he watched a YouTube video, like an interview that he did, and he said that he was noticing a lot of the people who were reading books were saying that the books were too positive and too positive, I guess, too light or whatever the case. So he intentionally wrote the book in the way that he wrote it was because people wanted the opposite of that. It seemed like I didn't watch the interview. I should watch the interview, but I understood. But by reading the book, I understand what he was talking about because it was triggering for me. I was just like, ugh. I was like, all of this stuff that he's writing about, like, I don't, it goes completely against what I am striving for, but I also understand the law of polarity and that, there's the opposites in everything. And the key is to be in balance, but it's also to embrace all aspects of that. So it's just quite interesting. It made me understand human behavior and how we operate as human beings and that we are human, and we have a vast variety of emotions. And the key is to not shun the shadow parts of ourselves. The key is to embrace them, because when we embrace our shadows, we are able to not judge others, you know, so harshly, you know, not be so critical of others, because we have learned to embrace ourselves and all parts of us and understand that we all come with, like I mentioned before, so many feelings and emotions. So, that's pretty much all that I wanted to say. Just this is just a reflection more than anything. I really like this book, and I already got, like I said, I got the book Art of Seduction, so I'm gonna read that one later on this year, going into next year. And I want to get the book called, what is it called again? Let's see. The Laws of Human Nature. Like I said before, like he had the introduction in the back of the 48 Laws of Power. He had that in there. So I read the introduction and I was glued into it, like zoop. And I like how he writes, because I think that we need different aspects of this, because I feel like his books seem to have a common theme, and it's more so about understanding ourselves at the core of it. It's just at a different in it it's like in a different angle. But that's all that I wanted to say, and that's my insight on what I gathered from this book. But stay tuned for more videos, and you can definitely follow me on Instagram at Infinite Nature number one, on Twitter at Infinite Nature number one, at Facebook at Infinite Nature, and Tumblr at Infinite Nature. So if you one of them are if you have one that's your favorite, pick one of those, because I post the same things. It's just that I know that people are on different platforms. But stay tuned for more videos, and you have a great day.